Hi all, in this video we will try to predict what can happen after 28th February 2022. So this date has got some importance because there is a 5 planet conjunction in a particular sign, that is Capricorn. So see, generally planets stay in one of the signs, right? There are 12 signs altogether in the sky, and planets stay in one or the other zodiac sign generally, right? But when a 5 planet conjunction is occurring and at the same time, or sometimes a 6 planet conjunction or 7 planet conjunction is happening, then we generally say that is going to signal something for us, that is signaling something for us, that is indicating a rare event that's going to happen to the world, right? So that too, let us say a 7 planet conjunction is happening, and that day there's a solar eclipse is also happening that day. So definitely that is going to trigger some events in the world, and this kind of things are happening. uh, so many times they happened, right? Every time they happen, you can say. So whenever there is a significant event happening with respect to the planets, so that is really triggering some events in the world, and it is happening every time. So 100%, right? But what it is indicating and what is going to happen, right, is really mysterious. And of course, with the help of some astrological techniques, right, we can try to predict it, right? So definitely, if you observe the planetary positions on 28th February 2022, right? So Rahu Ketu are actually present in Taurus and Scorpio, and other planets, the 7 other planets, there are totally 9 planets, and the 7 other planets are actually going to stay or going to be positioned between Rahu and Ketu, and that too in 2 zodiac signs, and that too those 2 zodiac signs are of Saturn. Saturn is a very, it has got high importance, whether it is mundane astrology, it's a natal astrology, whatever, right? So it has got high importance here. So the main thing is, 5 planets are going to be in Capricorn and 2 other planets are going to be in Aquarius, and Capricorn and Aquarius are the signs of Saturn. And see, let's try to understand the nature of the planets. When you try to understand the nature of the planets, then you can clearly say it's going to trigger a bad event or a good event, right? So Capricorn and Aquarius, these two are the houses. These two are the houses owned by Saturn, means those are the houses of Saturn. And what is Saturn? Basically, Saturn is a slowly moving planet. Saturn is a planet that can give hardships, that can give some restrictions, that can give painful events, right? So Saturn is the main karmic planet. Some people say Rahu and Ketu are also karmic planets, right? So but the fundamental and the basic thing is Saturn is it's a primary karmic planet. So after that, astrologers came up with this kind of statement also. Even Rahu and Ketu are also the karmic planets, of course, but the fundamental thing is Saturn is the primary one. So there's a the nature of Saturn is also very much karmic. Something like, let us say a person is going through the Rahu Mahadasha or Ketu Mahadasha, right? So in the Antardashas, if some malefic planets Antardasha is coming into the picture, for the person who is undergoing through Rahu Mahadasha or Ketu Mahadasha, right? So there is a sudden event that's going to, that is actually going to trigger in the person's life, right? That's a sudden event, we generally say. And most of the times the sudden event is because of the person's present karma, most of the times. But whereas Saturn is a truly karmic planet, means it is going to govern your past karmas, your previous births karmas mainly. So whatever Saturn is doing, that is actually, that is destined. So see, your life is a mixture of, some events are destined, some events are actually triggered by your own karma, right? It's a mixture of so many things. In that, Saturn oriented things are, they're actually, you can say that they're destined, right? You already, if you are in some higher plane, you can really realize that when you are undergoing to some Saturn Antardasha or Saturn Mahadasha, then you can, even the Sadesati period, whatever, right? You can clearly understand the events that are happening during the Saturn's impact, they are actually destined to happen most of the times, right? They are destined to happen. So Saturn is a truly karmic planet. They are destined to happen because of your past lives karmas. So that is Saturn. So here this Saturn is regarded as a hardship giving planet. Even in the mundane astrology, Saturn's movement is very much important, and so it does not have a very positive impact, right? So whatever it is going to do is because of the past karma. Even in the mundane astrology, whatever Saturn is going to do is because of the past karmas of the society, of the world, you can say. So it is actually, it behaves like a judge. It actually it tries to understand whatever we did so far. So based on that, it is going to prepare a plan for the world. So such kind of energies we can observe with Saturn, right? So Rahu and Ketu, those are, so Rahu is a kind of it's a kind of disease giving planet, we say, right, in mundane astrology. So whenever there is a disease in the whole world, then we generally observe the Rahu's behavior. So Rahu is going to play a vital role. At the same time, Ketu also, because Rahu and Ketu are 180 degree apart every time, right? So Ketu is a directionless entity, we feel, and Ketu is also going to give, Ketu is mainly famous for disasters, big disasters. Ketu is very much famous, natural disasters also. And so Rahu and Ketu, they do not have much more, they do not have a positive impact. They may not have positive impact. They are they have some, they are going to give some negative impact to the world, right, most of the times. And if you observe Saturn, Saturn is also having some negative energy, we say. And in natal astrology, we say Saturn's 3rd and 10th aspects are the more dangerous aspects compared to 10th. Even the 3rd aspect of Saturn is the much more worst, right, much more worst aspect. Now here the planets are under under the control of Rahu and Ketu here, because you can see there is a Kalasarpa yoga forming, right? So Rahu and Ketu are taking the control here, and on top of it Saturn is taking the control because all the planets are under Saturn's signs. The two signs are Saturn signs. So we cannot say something positive about this, because you cannot say oh all the planets are under the control of the dangerous planets Rahu and Ketu, and they are in the houses of, they are in the houses of another dangerous planet Saturn. Okay, something positive is going to happen. We cannot say this, right? We cannot say something positive is going to happen. You cannot say that. We say when the bad planets are taking the control on the higher level, you can see, right? We generally say something negative is going to happen, right? Something negative is going to happen. And now you can understand, if you go a bit deeper, so Sun, if you understand, Sun is going to play a vital role in this whole combination, because here see Sun is under Rahu Nakshatra. So what is a Rahu Nakshatra? So there are three Rahu Nakshatras. One is Arudra Nakshatra, another Swati Nakshatra, and Shatabhisha Nakshatra. This Arudra is the seed of Rahu energy, and of course Rahu has both positive and negative sides, right? But the negative side of Rahu is much more dangerous. You're getting it? So Jupiter, even see, Jupiter has some negative impact, but most of it is positive, right? So the general behavior I am saying, right? And Venus is also going to give some positive and some negative, but Venus has much more percentage of the positive things. Of course in the natal astrology it depends upon your ascendant, that's a different thing, and every planet has some positives and some negatives. But when a planet is going to give much more negative, when a planet is having much more negative energy, right, we say that planet, when the whole planetary system is under the control of that kind of planets, then we predict some negative events. Then here Sun is under the control of Rahu, because Sun is under Rahu's energy. Shatabhisha is the fruit of Rahu's energy. So seed of Rahu's energy is Arudra, whereas flower of Rahu's energy is Swati, and right, the fruit of Rahu's energy is Shatabhisha. So what are the positive things of Rahu? Rahu is very much famous for an innovative technology. That is the only thing, because Rahu is the most cunning planet in all the planets, most intelligent planet also we can say, because Rahu is basically a demon. If you understand the Samudra Manthan story, is a Swarabhanu, right, the demon, right, who was trying to have the nectar in the Samudra Manthan, right? See, in the Samudra Manthan story, Lord Vishnu wanted to give the nectar only to the gods, not to the demons, but one of the demons called as Swarabhanu wanted to have that nectar, and so he joined the group of the gods cunningly. The Swarabhanu wanted to join the group of gods, but the sun and moon, they identified it and they informed the same thing to Vishnu, who was in the Mohini avatar that time, and Vishnu with his Sudarshan chakra, divided, that means he just removed the head of Swarabhanu, but by the time Swarabhanu already had a drop of nectar, so he was alive even after cutting the head. So the head part is Rahu and the remaining body part is Ketu. So Ketu is directionless because it does not have head, but Rahu is having the head that is the brain mainly. So just imagine the brain of a demon who cunningly joined the group of gods, and even Vishnu was unable to identify that, only moon and sun identified it. That's why moon and sun are the permanent enemies of Rahu and Ketu, generally we say, right? So here you can understand Rahu's brain is very sharp. He was able to join the group of gods, and he was very much attracted to having that nectar. So Rahu is a Maya, Rahu is having that materialism, desire for materialism, right? So that is Rahu basically. So Rahu is really innovative. It's because all other demons were actually in one mood, but at the time of that nectar distribution, but only this particular guy Swarabhanu, means the mix of Rahu and Ketu, only identified the fact that the gods, or the Vishnu, Lord Vishnu had a plan to distribute the nectar to only gods. So only Rahu identified this, other means only the Swarabhanu identified it, right? Only the Rahu and Ketu combination identified the fact that Vishnu had an idea, had the plan to distribute the nectar only to gods, right? So Rahu was intelligent. Rahu is basically, he is intelligent. He is very much, he can observe anything. He is very cunning. That's why he was able to join the group of the gods and able to had some nectar at least, right? So whenever Rahu is coming into the picture, but Rahu is basically a demon. So you can clearly understand Rahu is a demon and Ketu is also a demon, right? And he is against the gods. He is a demon basically. So he is an opposite of godliness, right? So Rahu is all about materialism, whereas Ketu is always about the spiritualism, just the opposites. That's why they are always the opposites. Rahu and Ketu, they are opposites, 180 degrees apart. Rahu is materialism, Ketu is spiritualism. You cannot say Rahu is spiritual, Rahu is materialism and Ketu is spiritual, Ketu is also materialism. You cannot say, because they are the opposites. They are just the opposites, right? So the opposite of up is below, right? The opposite of happiness is sadness, right? Like that, they are the opposites. So Rahu and Ketu are the opposites. So Rahu is all about materialism, innovation, driving the world towards, towards the new ways, new paths, you can say. And Ketu is about spirituality. Those are the positive things. But whereas Rahu is a demon, and he is very much responsible for all the diseases, all the demonic activities, and Ketu is directionless, and at the same time is the body of a demon, so he is directionless. So generally the directionless behavior you can only observe with natural disasters, because when a natural disaster is coming, something like a tsunami, you cannot estimate how far it is going to destruct the whole world. It's because it is directionless. Sometimes it's right, when a tsunami is coming, it goes, right? So it goes direction without direction, and it does not have any any limits, any boundaries, right? Just after happening the event only, the people can understand, okay, this has no boundaries, and this tsunami destructed so and so part, so and so places, right? So that is Rahu and Ketu. When all the planets are under Rahu and Ketu, right? So generally the world can go under pressure, a kind of pressure, right? It's a general behavior, right? So that's the only thing. But in addition to that, so all the planets are under Rahu and Ketu. So see, because all the planets, they represent some people in mundane astrology. Jupiter represents the law and order, the judges, the lawyers, Jupiter represents whoever related to the religious people of Jupiter. Jupiter is mainly the financial backbone of a country is Jupiter. Jupiter's energy is that. So when Jupiter, let us say Jupiter is debilitated, Jupiter debilitates in Capricorn. So whenever Jupiter is coming into Capricorn, the world experiences trouble in the financial matters, and it happened every time whenever Jupiter comes to Capricorn. So every astrologer predicts, okay, the world is going through some financial crisis, that's it. And every 12 years Jupiter comes to Capricorn and debilitates, people predict financial crisis, and it happens. In addition to that, if some other planetary positions are also very bad, or Jupiter joins with Saturn, and that combination is happening in Capricorn, of course that happens every 30 years. So every 30 years astrologers predict financial crisis, and it is happening so far. Every time it's happening. There is no single time that this prediction failed. When Jupiter Saturn is in Capricorn, the world will go to a financial crisis. This is a perfect, it's a kind of theorem in astrology, and it is happening every day. It's a fact, right? So it's happening every time. Even it happened in 2020, Jupiter Saturn in Capricorn, that's it, financial crisis. 2020, 2021, you can clearly observe it. And just go 30 years back, 2020, 30 years, 1990, that time also you could clearly observe the world was under financial crisis. 1990, remove 30 years there, 1960, then that time also world was under financial crisis. Just go through the history, right? So like this, we have some dictums, we have some theorems, you can say, and they always proven to be true, right? Now, so every planet represents someone. Sun represents rulers, sun represents the government related people, right? The government, sun is government, sun is the ruler, sun is any kind of ruler. Even an MLA is somehow related to sun. A chief minister is related to sun's energy. A ruler, a prime minister is related to sun's energy. Sun is that, sun is government, sun is rulership basically, right? So Jupiter, to an extent, it is related to religion, whereas sun is the duty, right? Sun is a kind of duty, because just observe a king always performs his duty, whatever may be the situation. Even if a king's beloved queen is committing a mistake, then king is not going to tolerate, the true king is not going to tolerate, even he punishes his own queen, right? So that is a behavior of sun, that is the behavior of a king, right? The same thing happens. So sun is duty, sun is rulership, sun is the kingly energy, where Mars represents, in mundane astrology I am talking about, right? Mars represents the battles, the army, armed forces, right? Mars, because Mars represents the strength. Even the behavior of Mars, if you observe in the planetary position, Mars had so many times, so many asteroids hit Mars, but still it is existing because of its strength. So that's why Mars represents strength, right? So Mars represents the strength of our solar system. So as the planetary energies are falling onto the earth, and they are going to give some kind of impact on the earth, the people living on the earth. So Mars energy is the main energy, that is distributed in the form of the military, the police, armed forces. That is Mars. Moon is always about doing some business, traveling, because moon is also related to traveling. Moon is related to mother, right? All the women who are mothers and the babies are also related to moon. Moon represents water energy on the earth, because moon is the natural satellite of earth, and moon's energy is very much important for the earth, right? So Moon is related to water bodies on the earth. You can clearly observe the water bodies fluctuation, or whatever the change in the water bodies, at the time of Paurnami, that's a full moon day, and the Amavasya, there's no moon day or new moon day, you can say, right? So on these days you can clearly understand the behavior of moon, the impact of moon on the people on the earth. Even other animals, some of the animals, they behave differently during full moon day or new moon day, right? So they are going to give some energy changes on the earthly plane. So because of those energy changes, right, those energy changes are experienced by us, right? So we are experiencing the energies of the planets, of course we are, right? You have to accept this, because see, when you go out in a hot summer outside, right, so generally you feel very, you feel very thirsty, and even you feel very hungry in less amount of time because of the sun's energy, right? So sun is very much visible, so people say, okay, sun's energy we are accepting, but moon's energy and other energies we may not accept, because they are not visible, the energies are not so visible. See, even moon's energy is visible. At a beautiful night you feel romantic, you feel differently, right? So but some people say the other planets we are not even able to see them, so we can't accept the energies of other planets like Mercury, like Mars. We don't accept their energies falling onto the earth and affecting the people's lives over here. But it's also a fact, the other planets. So this was observed by our Vedic sages. Now anyways, Saturn represents the common people, the labor, the people who are actually into into doing work for daily wages, right? So such kind of people who are very much disciplined, people having more focus. And also Saturn is a karmic planet, is going to punish the people a lot. So especially whenever Saturn is going bad, right, we generally say, especially when Saturn is in the Shravana nakshatra, politicians, the bad days for politicians. So for 2020, of course, 2021 January to till 2022 February, Saturn was in Shravana nakshatra, and you can clearly observe how politicians felt throughout. Saturn comes to Shravana nakshatra every 30 years, and whenever it comes, it's going to give some troubles. Even the once US President Roosevelt, I think I think there was an attempt of assassination on him, and also Rajiv Gandhi, who was killed when Saturn was in Shravana. You can clearly observe the history, right? Clearly observe the history. Whenever Saturn is in Shravana nakshatra, the politicians are under terror. And now Venus represents the entertainment industry, Mercury represents the communication industry, the general friendship between the countries, and also Mercury represents the research, the general research that happens in the academic institutions and everything. Mercury is the logical community, the intelligent community, you can say. Jupiter is a kind of religious community, it's a kind of dharma oriented community. Jupiter is about financial community, you can say. The rich people, they are also related to Jupiter. The religious people also come under Jupiter, everything, right? But Mercury is something like is an entertaining, is a logical thinking energy, is a kind of a bit funny, humorous energy. All these things you can also relate with Mercury energy. The research oriented energy is Mercury, right? The logical thinking is Mercury, right? The academics come under Mercury, academic knowledge and everything, especially the logical thinking related, right? whereas Venus is all about fashion world, it's an entertainment industry, it's a kind of beautiful thing, Venus, right? So this is how the whole thing is distributed, the energies are distributed. Now all the energies are under the control of Rahu and Ketu, because so all the people are going to be under pressure whenever the Kala Sarpa Yoga forms. And at the same time you can also see how is a Venus house. Venus is who is Venus, basically who is Venus? Venus is a kind of blissful energy, a love relationship energy, it's a relationship energy, it's very beautiful, it's related to money, vehicles, beautiful houses, celebrations, your lover, when you really love a person and there's a very strong blissful relationship between you and the other person, that beautiful thing is Venus. Venus houses are Taurus and Libra. So when you say some planets are in Taurus and Libra, it's okay, right? It's going to be fine, right? It's going to be a bit fine, except see, so when Sun is in Libra, it's debilitated, it's not going to be very much comfortable there, right? So of course you need to check all the planetary positions, but just understand the nature of the planets. When planets are under Venus areas, or let us say planets are right under the control of Venus, at least you can have something, when all the planets are under Venus control, you may not accept very great disasters. When all the planets are under the Jupiter signs, something like Sagittarius and Pisces, you may not. Of course Pisces is the final energy. When all the planets are in Pisces, then you generally expect some ending of something, because Pisces is the last sign in the whole zodiac sign cycle, zodiac signs, the list of zodiac signs. So but see, when all the planets are under the control of Saturn signs, the Capricorn and Aquarius, and that too Capricorn is a kind of, it's a hard environment. Capricorn is a kind of it's an action oriented environment, is a final sign, which is final earthy sign. See, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, these three are the earthy signs, right? So they are mainly related to the practical energy. Taurus is very much practical, Virgo is also very much practical, but Capricorn is super practical, even more practical, Capricorn energy, right? So there is no scope for imagination there in Capricorn's world. Only doing some work, only action. So the Capricorn's energy believes that only action can bring some change in the world. Only action, not the imagination, not the intelligence, not any other thing. They believe only in hard work, they only believe in the action oriented thing. Even intelligence they don't believe, they believe in action, they believe in work, they believe in doing something, right? So it's a purely earthy sign. So just imagine the Capricorn's energy is something like that, right? Only action can bring a very significant change in the world. That is the main concept of Capricorn. And when 5 planets are in Capricorn, see, 10th February 2021, I'm just making it 10th February 2021. And one more thing is a famous quote by K.N. Rao sir. K.N. Rao sir, his full name is Kotam Raju Narayan Rao sir, and who is a famous astrologer, K.N. Rao sir. According to him, whenever something is happening in Capricorn, whenever a kind of very big planetary conjunctions are happening in Capricorn, or very big eclipses are happening in the Capricorn, under the control of Capricorn energy, then that may not be very good, that may not be very good for India, right? So you can clearly understand here, when 6 planet conjunction happened, when the sixth planet. So according to, so I just quoted Ken Rao sir because somewhere he quoted this way, Capricorns, right, this thing is not so very good for India. So the same thing, even I just quoted him, even without his quoting, I also personally observed whenever something is happening in Capricorn, it's going to give some bad results to India. Especially, just observe 10th February 2021, a 6 planet conjunction occurred in the sign of Capricorn. I made a video also on 10th February, just before 10th February, that's in January. I think I made a video in January 2021. You can see my channel, right? So there clearly I means we really discussed in that video as 6 planet conjunction in Capricorn, and it's going to give some impactful situation in the world, right? And especially 10th February, after 10th February 2021 in India, you could clearly observe second wave of COVID-19 came, right? And you just see, as far as we know, after 10th February 2021, the kind of situation that was that we saw in India, right, was really terrific, very very bad. Means we never saw such kind of a situation in India in our whole life. So many people did not see, even our parents might not have seen that, even the parents of age 70 or 80, even they might not have seen that kind of bad situation in India. So that happened in India after 10th February 2021 because of the 6 planet conjunction happened in Capricorn. That time also all the planets were under the control of Rahu and Ketu. You can see there is a Kala Sarpa Yoga formed that time. And Mars, only the Mars was out of this, and it is in its own sign, that is Aries, right? It is a bit distant away from this whole 6 planet conjunction, right? But now it's not the case, but it's a 5 planet conjunction now it's going to happen, right? The 5 planet conjunction, right? And that time the planets, the individual planets were in, if you observe again, let me check where the stars of the individual planets. See, that time 10th February 2021, Sun is under the control of Mars, Moon was under the control of Moon, Mars under the control of Venus, Mercury under the control of Mars, Jupiter under the control of Moon, Venus Moon, Saturn Moon, Rahu Moon. So that time Moon was really terrific. Moon took the control of everything. Moon and Mars, only these two took the control. If you go to the if you go to what is it, the nakshatra astrology, Sun under Mars, Moon under Moon, Mars under Venus, of course only Mars under Venus, Mercury Mars, Jupiter Moon. So only Moon and Mars you are hearing, right? Moon here, Rahu Moon, Ketu Mercury, right? Only Ketu and Mars are in under the different rulers, the nakshatra rulers, but most of the planets are were under the control of Mars and Moon, right? And Mars is completely out of this 6 planet conjunction, and it is in Aries. It was in Aries, right? So Mars was very much comfortable in Aries, and the whole picture, see, the distance between Mars and Rahu was also very much less, if you observe. So Mars 23 degree Aries, so it already traveled 23 degrees of Aries, whereas Rahu is at 22 degrees. So 23, so if you clear the 7 of 7 degrees of Aries, then 30, so 7 plus is 22 degrees of Taurus. So totally 29 degrees of the sky space you can see Mars and Rahu put together, right? So it's something like in 29 degrees Mars and Rahu are present. So if you see, if you divide, so these are the divisions of 30 degrees, but in the 30 degrees area, under below 30 degrees area, you could find Rahu and Mars at the time. And remaining planets, the 6 planets were under 30 degrees, right, Capricorn, because whole Capricorn is of 30 degrees and all the 6 planets within 30 degrees, right. So this kind of situation happens. So whenever something is happening in Capricorn, that is not going to be very good for India, right. That's one of the things that I observed, right. So even you can remove the statement I said about K.N. Rao sir, if you are not comfortable with that statement, right, remove that, because I saw it somewhere that K.N. Rao sir also said the same thing, right. If you are not interested in that statement, you can just remove that statement from here. But now C is a 5 planet conjunction is happening in Capricorn. Now again on 28th February, it's a 5 planet conjunction, it's not a 6 planet conjunction, right. So now also, now another thing is the other 2 planets are in Aquarius. Now you just observe Rahu is under the control of Sun, the nakshatra ruler is here Sun. So if I am analyzing with respect to the nakshatra lords, right, then how I feel. So Rahu is a person who is a demon, who is a permanent enemy of Sun. So he is under the control of Sun, and Sun is under the control of Rahu here. Rahu and Sun, permanent enemies, right, because in the Samudra Manthan story you can clearly observe Sun and Moon were the 2, right, energies who reported the Vishnu energy about the Rahu energy, about the Rahu Ketu energy, right, the whole stuff. So Sun under the control of Rahu, Rahu under the control of Sun. So totally it's not so comfortable if you observe only Sun and Rahu. And then what about the other planets? Moon under the control of Moon, Moon under the control of Moon, Mars under the control of Sun, right. Mercury Moon, Jupiter Rahu, Venus Sun, Saturn Mars, Rahu Sun, Ketu Jupiter. So here you are repeatedly listening to things here: Sun, Moon, Rahu. Most of the times it's Sun and Rahu, right, Sun and Rahu energies you can clearly observe. But the main point here is, see, if it is a 30 degrees plane and some conjunction is happening, is very significant. But when it is, let us say, let's divide the whole sky into, instead of 12 parts, into 12 zodiac signs, let's divide them into 6 parts, each is of 60 degrees. Then this conjunction is saying there is a 7 planet conjunction in 60 degrees plane, and even more, it is less than 60 degrees also, because Venus is starting at 0 degrees and Sun and Jupiter, if you observe, Sun traveled 15 degrees and Jupiter 19 degrees, so totally it is 49 degrees. So within 50 degrees you can find all the planets, and where they are reaching, actually they are trying to reach the final point, that is a Pisces, and which is going to happen in 2025. In 2025, 2024, during the transition you can clearly observe within less degrees you can find so many planets, right. So many planets are Aquarius, Pisces and Aries in that area. So you can consider that as a transformation period. But here within 59 degrees you are seeing the planets are in Capricorn and Aquarius, which are actually just before the final stage, that is the Pisces, right. So Pisces is a sign of sacrifice, it's going to it's a sign of complete destruction, the completion, right. So clearly this is going to bring, here Sun is also playing a vital role, and Capricorn is a kind of practical field where it's not going to deliver very good results for India. This kind of energy clearly can bring a war energy, right? That is one thing we predicted in some of the video also, right? And here one more thing is the Moon, Venus and Mercury. These three are called as the soft planets. They are very soft basically. The planets are very soft. They are very much related to water energy also, right? Whenever some water related disasters in the world, you can clearly see something significant about Venus and Mercury also. They play some major role there. And here Venus is also at the edge of Sagittarius and Capricorn. It's at the junction of Sagittarius and Capricorn, right? So Venus is under heavy transformation. Sagittarius is a fiery sign and Capricorn is an earthy sign, right? So a complete transformation you can see with respect to Venus, right? It's a very much struggled environment for Venus, right? Kind of struggled environment. So one side it is experiencing a lot of heat and another side it is experiencing an earthy energy. So totally it is under a turbulence. Whenever a planet is under in 0 degrees, that planet is experiencing some kind of mixture of energy, so it is under turbulence, kind of turbulence. So it's a frictional, the whole thing is frictional, and Moon, Mercury, Venus, the watery energy is actually hit by the Saturn and Mars. Saturn and Mars are also together, the two hardest things. We always say Saturn and Mars are the hardest, and the Venus, Mercury, Moon are the softest. The softest and the hardest are living in a single room. The frictional environment is clearly established, and this whole thing is watched by Rahu's 9th aspect here. Rahu is a demon, so the frictional environment, which is actually enhanced by Rahu's energy. Rahu is a kind of smoke, is going to enhance it. He acts like an amplifier. He's going to expand. So Rahu and Jupiter both have some common quality. They are going to expand whatever is given to them. So Rahu with his 9th aspect, it's going to enhance this frictional energy that's present in Capricorn, right? And what is the frictional energy here? Moon, Mercury, Venus is the softest thing, and Saturn, Mars is the hardest thing. The hardest thing and the softest thing. It's a kind of it's really going to be very frictional, and the whole energy is under a severe turbulence. So this whole energy is going to be established in the months of March and April. So March and April are going to be very much critical for India, right? Because it's happening in Capricorn. And even more, it's also very much critical to USA, because USA is of Leo ascendant, and this Capricorn is falling under the 6th sign for them. So in the 6th sign, which is not so very comfortable thing for USA, so they are also going to have some kind of frictional things here, right? So here if you observe the ascendant of Russia, Russia is said to be Cancer ascendant, and 7th house even in mundane astrology is called as the house of relationships. So it is going to give an overall idea about international affairs, foreign trade, open warfare, alliances, people, mainly warfare. So for Cancer ascendant, which is the Russia ascendant, the 7th house is filled up with this energy, this frictional energy is the house of relationships. So house of relationships going to be very much impacted for Russia, this for sure. And the seventh house is always about battles, enemies, lawless enemies, right? So, an afflicted seventh house is the signifier of enmity and open warfare, always. So, it is the decision making house in case of wars. So, when this kind of situation, when this kind of frictional environment occurs, right? So, the opposition party supports the ruling party sometimes, right? But wars, but wars uh, are very much can happen. So this is the problem with the Cancer ascendant, that is the Russia basically. And for USA it is the Leo ascendant, that's the sixth house, right? Sixth house is going to be impacted for them. So even if you observe for USA, the sixth house is house of services and health generally for a country. So it represents the public health, whatever the vaccination programs by government bodies, the guidelines to public health schemes, the life saving services, right? It's mainly related to the services, the defense services, the civil services, whatever services a country provides, that are all related to the sixth house only. The services are going to be impacted for USA, because for Leo ascendant this Capricorn is a sixth house thing. And even more, so you can expect some kind of problems in the services and health in USA. It will be continued, you can clearly say, right? So for Russia it is definitely, it is going to be interested in war. It's definitely going to be interested in war. It's mainly its foreign trade, all these things are going to be affected, going to be impacted. And for India it's a Taurus ascendant. India is a Taurus ascendant, and Capricorn is the ninth house. Ninth house is the house of luck. Generally in natal astrology we say ninth house is a house of luck and is a house of opportunity. So the opportunities in India are going to be impacted. Whatever may be the opportunities, like the legal system is also represented by ninth house, the judiciary system mainly, right? uh, the judicial things are going to be very much disturbed. So when there are benefic planets, when the benefic planets transit the ninth house, events beneficial to the country take place. So they could be in the form of some external support, in the form of some policy initiatives or similar things, right? But when ninth house is afflicted, a bad luck and a misfortune comes to the country. So whenever this particular Capricorn here is impacted by the Saturn and Mars energy, and also it is the Rahu energy is looking at the Capricorn's energy, India is going to have some difficult environment. March, April, very much, it's a kind of a bad luck, you can say. Even the business losses, even the trade practices by the country are not going to be very good, right? So all these things are going to be affected. The higher thoughts, the traffic and communications are going to be impacted. The foreign relations are going to be impacted, right? The higher education stuff is going to be impacted. The publishing industry, science and technology, religion comes into the picture here mainly, because sun is playing a major role here, right? So India will see that kind of problems altogether. And if you observe the other country which is actually people are paying very much interested, paying a lot of interest, that is Ukraine, right? So Ukraine is the country which is actually of the ascendant of Ukraine is a Sagittarius ascendant, right? So just next to Sagittarius, that is the second house, is Capricorn. So what's going to happen for Ukraine here? Ukraine is a Sagittarius ascendant, and so this is purely mundane astrology, don't relate it with your personal astrology, right? So don't mix it with your natal astrology, natal horoscopes. So second house is always house of finance for a country. So whenever there are malefics in the second house, it indicates the unsatisfactory position of national wealth. So it indicates corruption also. So Ukraine is going to have some kind of problems with the finances, right? So Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Commerce, the policy making, investments, the national resources, all these things, the revenues and gains, all of them are going to be impacted severely, right? So if there is a war, then clearly the war energy is very much established here, right? So if there is a war, then Russia is going to most probably, you can say there is a scope, there is more scope for Russia to be winning here, right? Whatever country may be supporting Ukraine or whatever, but Russia is going to, right? So it's going to take the precedence, and even maybe in future Indians may go to Russia to expand the Vedic systems there or whatever. But so Ukraine is going to lose all the resources if war comes, if there is a problem for Ukraine, right? So this is the analysis, and even more, if you try to analyze, even Jupiter is under the control of Rahu here, right? So Jupiter is also under the control of Rahu. It's also taken up by sun's energy. So totally may not be very comfortable position we can say, right? USA is already suffering from the health related stuff and everything, and we generally say whenever something happens in Capricorn, the USA services, whatever services, all the services industry of USA get affected whenever something happens in Capricorn, and bad luck comes to India, right? So, right, the sixth house is always about, even sixth house is the minimum food supplies. It's related to public health mainly, right? So it is also related to the defense and military services. The public debt means borrowing by government from international banks, or this kind of loans and everything, right? It's related to the country loans, the country debt, the government liabilities to various world financial institutions, or liabilities to the people, right? Whatever the, even if they bring some kind of budgetary regulations and reforms, they may not be very good. The policy initiation may not be very good related to this debts and everything, right? Sixth house is mainly related to the service industries, whether it's food industry or the transport industry, whatever services they have, right? All of them are going to be impacted. So this is the analysis, and there is anything else, we'll try to make another video. So thanks for watching this video.